the disadvantages of family conflict? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education. And in this video, we're talking about what family conflict really does to the family. In this video, we're going to be talking about the disadvantages of having unresolved family conflicts and what the family can do in order to create an environment where you can solve those old family conflicts, but also where you can create an environment where family conflicts don't occur. Family conflict has lasting effects. There are effects on our emotional health, on our relational health, on our physical health. All of those three things, physical, emotional, relational, even spiritual can be an issue sometimes. All of those components to us that make us a whole person can be damaged or frustrated by family conflict. So how does that happen? What does the family conflict do to, say, our emotional well-being? When you're in a state of family conflict, you usually are in a stressful, dramatic state. When you are in a stressed state, that is going to impact your emotional well-being. You will not be able to think very clearly because you'll be in the wrong part of your brain. If you keep over-processing on the conflict too because it's not resolved, you didn't fix the problem, then you are going to be stuck in your brain in this place of stress and worry. And usually there's disconnection that comes too, and when you're not connected to a source of power or people around you for support, that makes you feel even more alone inside. So this stress has a big impact on your emotional well-being, but also stress impacts your physical well-being. People know that stress increases cortisol in your body and your brain. This actually makes people gain weight. If you are increasing cortisol because your life is stressful and you don't know how to handle those stressors, you will start to gain weight even if you are still eating healthy and doing that exercise that you like to do every day. When you are feeling emotionally stressed and burdened and you're taking things personally, which is what happens emotionally when you have family conflict and you're not solving it well because you don't have the skills that you need, then this actually disconnects you from your family members, which makes you feel more isolated. So disconnection and isolation are two key things that happen relationally to your relationships with your family when you've got this family conflict. You can try to fake your way through it, and sometimes you can even fake it till you make it with fixing the family problem. But lots of times if it's not addressed, if things don't come into the light, then the family conflict never fully goes away. And people are afraid of bringing things into the light because it was that honest communication that actually usually brought upon the family conflict in the first place. So what usually happens is people end up walking on eggshells. They don't say what needs to be said. They don't do what needs to be done. They all become their own little silos. They live on islands, even if they're sharing the same house with each other. When conflict is constant within a family, then you will notice behavioral changes within your children. So not only are you going to be having issues, but let's say you're having conflict with a spouse, then your children are going to feel that too, and they will actually have increased negative behavior problems. They may try to do more attention seeking, maybe sometimes positive attention seeking by being silly and fun and wild to try to distract you from what's going on with your own stresses. Or they might try to do negative attention seeking because they feel like you're only giving attention to things that are negative. Your child actually might start acting up because they feel that you're not fully present in their lives lives because you've got so much going on in your head and you're overthinking it or ruminating on it again and again because the problem is not solved. When there's conflict in the home, the children also experience stress. Their stress oftentimes looks a lot more like anxiety. They don't want to have a new experience. They don't want change to occur within the family. They worry more about their own behaviors because they're not sure if it's their behaviors that's causing some of the stress. And they don't like the feeling of stress. It feels too heavy. It's not happy for them. And so they're in a state of worry, which leads to more anxiety for them as well. Oftentimes, children who are in environments where parents are experiencing a lot of family conflict, or even with maybe another sibling who is constantly attacking them, can end up developing the problem of perfectionism. They might think that they have to have everything exactly perfect to please the people around them. They might become so obsessed with perfectionism in order to try to control their environment that they may actually increase their own stresses just by working on that perfectionism or perfect version of themselves. So what is the antidote? What can families do? Well, this whole channel is the Teaching Self-Government channel. I promise you could click just about every video here on this channel and you would find something else that you could do to help your family. But in a nutshell, if your family can learn to self-assess, if they can learn self-government, that they can recognize, okay, what's our baseline as a family? Do we have a vision or a picture or a feeling that we're going for as a group? In my TSG trainings, like in my TSG parenting course, I talk about how to create a really good family vision and get everybody on board with this foundation of who you are. If you can understand what it's supposed to feel like, what the focus is supposed to be as a group, then when it's not happening, people are more open to the corrections and the changes. But this also means that the parents have to be willing to self-assess and correct themselves too when things aren't going right. So establishing that foundation, pointing the family in the right direction so that you've got a baseline is going to be huge. But what about all that day-to-day communication that can turn into more and more conflict, especially if the family is taking things personally and trying to control each other? If you have some skills for communication that keep you taking responsibility for yourself instead of trying to control everything else around you, the whole environment changes. What if every single person in your family, instead of trying to control and convince everyone else in the group, just focused on controlling themselves, becoming the best version of themselves that they could possibly be? What if they learned the 4 basic skills of self-government, which are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately? What if they could solve their problems in diplomatic ways and having good communication? What if they just did what you told them they needed to do the first time? These things are all possible and more if a person gets deliberately trained on the skills they need. If there's one thing I know after all these years of teaching people self-government, it's this: that people don't know what they don't know. We're trained certain ways by the people who raised us or by media, pop culture, the things we read, and sometimes we actually take bad advice. We keep trying to live that bad advice again and again, and we end up with having a lot of problems. So what you can do is you can deliberately give yourself the skills that you need for success. And this is a good place for that. In fact, to get all of the skills and principles of self-government and to learn how to solve those intricate family conflict problems, I highly recommend the TSG parenting course, which you can find on my website, teachingselfgovernment.com. I'll see you there.